most of the time you're chasing something, right? There's a target, a goal, a focus, like there's this thing that you're driving toward. And then suddenly now you look in front of you and there's no more target. Like you are the target suddenly,
Right.
right? And so that's like, okay, there's a bit of a shift there. That's why, you know, there's many people who can achieve something once, like they have some big success, but it's very hard for them to sustain that success. And
Totally.
so I think two parts. One is how you end up getting and achieving that success will help you sustain it. So like planting the seeds and laying that foundations for like that again, that awareness of yourself. And for me, we talked about a book off air earlier. Like I'm writing this book, and it's literally about what I call the three E's, this performance operating system, right? And that is learning how to manage your emotions, your energy, and your environment, right? And there's different layers of those things. But as you go, if you continually auditing those things and improving and managing those things, then like it's you. You're the one who made that success happen, right? You controlled and designed your environment. You are very specific about who's around you and when you spend that time around. You're aware of how different environments influence you and how you influence them. You understand your emotional processing, like how things making you, how you react to certain things, respond, and you're constantly learning how you're going to express those emotions, right? You
Yeah.
understand that energy management is the most important thing over everything, right? That is the most important thing. Mental and physical energy management is like the foundation for all these things. And all those three E's, for lack of a better way of putting it, they all influence each other, right? One influences the others and vice versa, and around you go. So I think first of all, to get there, you need to be able to understand those are I put it like this, all the programs and the strategies and the systems that you see everywhere and everyone talks about. Every book is written about it. To me, those are like the apps on your phone, right? And
Yeah.
these three E's, this is the operating system of that phone. Those apps are only as good and are going to work as well as your operating system is,
Right.
right? And I mean, think about your iPhone. How many apps do you have on there now? Probably a ton. And that's what everyone's always chasing. The next program, the next this, the next that. And again, we need those things. They're important. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're useless. You need those things, and you need to keep improving those things. But they're only going to work as efficient and as effectively as your operating system. And if
Yeah.
just like your phone, if you're not constantly updating that OS, right? What happens? The battery doesn't work as well. The apps are closing. Things just don't work quite the same anymore because you
Right.
haven't updated your operating system. So really, I think the key part is actually more about how you get there than it is what you do when you're there.
Yeah.
Now, when you're there, to go more specific to your question, I mean, you're never there, right? There's always something to work on. I look
So
at,
you got to have the mindset that you're never there. So when you have high expectations from external things and external people, you have to realize like, or you have to be like, yeah, but I still haven't reached my peak yet. I still haven't reached it yet. I still haven't reached it yet. I still haven't reached.
well, think about this. I mean, some people might think it that way. I think of it more like this, is that, if we'll talk about tennis since we're here. She's number one now. Besides this expectation part, the environment itself, like the opponent, the tournaments that we go to, the way the point system works, the way the scoring of the game works, all these things, nothing's different except for her ranking,
Yeah.
right? The same thing is on the way there, even up to the day where she became number one in the world, like there was still some things that we had to practice every week. Throughout the year, there's things that like, sometimes your forehand's a little bit off, sometimes the serve's a little bit off, sometimes you physically a little bit off. There's always these things, excuse me, that you're just constantly cycling through. You're still showing up to a match for whatever the reason, whether it's coming from you or the other player is just hot on fire that day. You're still facing those moments where, things aren't working well. For whatever the reason, you're still facing the same things. The concepts and the things that you face, these situations never change. But what does change is that the lens that you use to see what's happening, how
Right.
you how you interpret what's going on, right? Just give me one second. I just get some water real quick.
Very good.
I've been talking a lot lately. Excuse me, sorry. So the idea is that, we're constantly cycling through things, right? And I look at it as are we spiraling upward, meaning our level is improving, our experience, our awareness is improving, or are we sort of circling around and chasing our tail and getting nowhere, or are we spiraling downward, right? Obviously, we don't want to be going downward. And
Yeah.
if you want to be a high performer, you want to be successful, you want to sustain it, you're not chasing your tail either, right? You can't stay where you are, otherwise you'll start to fall back. So nothing's really changed. We're always facing those same things. The same arena is still arena, right? Who she is still the same, right? So the way she'll have moments and she'll have weeks or matches or moments where she just that old arena, that old young arena still shows up, right? Hopefully she's able to manage that, that younger version of herself and be aware of it and do something better about it. But there's always something to go. And the pressure is there in a way too that you think about it, you have to know that just because you're number one doesn't mean anything. The girl
Right.
on the opponent on the other side, in fact, they're at an advantage because they got nothing to lose. They
Right.
they go play out of their mind, and there's nothing for them to risk.
So in terms of managing expectations, you're just kind of like we don't even really think too much about the expectations. We just always go back to our systems, the foundational things that we need to continue to work on, continue to prove on, and continue to hone in on.
It's very simple, exactly. We
Right.
fundamentals, constantly fundamentals. Maybe looking at a few tactical little strategic and tactical things that you might if see where like your weaknesses are. If you like, if I was going to play you, where would I attack you? And
Right.
just making sure that you're filling in those gaps. But yes, it's really just about make. I know it's going to sound cliche, but control the controllables,
Yeah.
the fundamentals, the basic. Like there's no magic pill. There's no
Totally.
secret. You're literally just cycling through the same things, right? And yes, there's a lot of other things like more expectations, more obligations now from press, from media, from sponsors, from fans. And so there are a lot of things that you have to manage, but that goes back to that managing your environment, making sure you